Was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout, a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest chapter and everything Kagurabachi. I'm here with Dice.
Yo.
Today we're getting into chapter 129, but before we do that, I want to remind everyone to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're interested in joining the Discord, the link is in the description below. Other than that, Dice, my boy, how you holding up over there in New York?
Pretty good. Kind of losing my voice, if you haven't noticed already. But yeah, a lot of fun. We'll talk about it for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I was totally there. If you see the pictures on Twitter, I was in a lot
I don't know
of
why
them.
you're asking me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was tripping for a second. And
Yes.
just a heads up, I guess before we do that, I also want to remind everyone that we will be putting out a video where I kind of interview Dice and ask questions that some of the fans have submitted. So that will be out sometime this week. Be on the lookout for that. And we'll talk more about like his trip to New York, like most likely in that video or on stream on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. We're just going to get into 129 on this episode though.
100%. I'm excited for that. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man, 129. I just want to say, Joji, the most fragile elite swordsman around. Bro's looked like he got hit with a black flash just from a temperature spike.
Bro, it's funny, and I guess, I won't say crazy, but it's just hilarious, really, that I've been talking about, and I know other people as well, but me specifically, I've been talking about like a Joji sacrifice play and this and that. Kunishige won him over. We're gonna see the first guy kind of like lay his life down for Kunishige, off like seeing his resolve, everything that he's doing. I thought like I thought like Joji was really gonna like just buy into the whole thing and really go out like a soldier, but he's kind of doing the opposite so far. Obviously we'll have to see how things play out, but I just think it's kind of like a funny unfolding of events when it comes to Joji, really, at least as it relates to my expectations.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, that dude has some real riders. I mean, people were talking about him like, he's about to be the first sword saint or some shit. Like people were really riding for that man, and this dude's over here just like, literally sweating this out, and he hasn't done shit but talk.
They be writing anyone nowadays, huh?
Yes, it'd be like that. I mean, shit. But other than that, I guess we get in the chapter. We see Shiba, by the way. We start where like he just casually, a casual disregard for his own well-being and his life, always putting his life on the line to set the stage for Kunishige, as we continue from where last chapter left off, with him teleporting him back by the Bob Masumi.
Yeah. I mean, I think to me it's really impressive what Shiba is doing. We've talked about it before, but the fact that it turns out that he was able, or seemingly, we don't really, I guess, know the details of where exactly he's teleporting them, but they do talk about setting up a perimeter, which it's like I'm just surprised really of like the desire, the need to set up a perimeter when they were about to kill Kunishige, and casualties was a possibility already. So I don't know, the whole Masumi logic here I think is very flawed. But yeah, no, I think the whole framing of the situation I think is really well done. The rain is getting hot. Eventually the raindrops kind of dissolving in thin air where we see Joji outside there. I think I've mentioned this before, but I think Hokuzono has done a really good job of that whole situation, or the fire specifically of the smelting being a reflection of the tension. I mean, in reality, it is the source of the tension. So, but the way he's kind of framing everything with Kunishige's resolve and, Chiaki being at the center of that, I think that there is kind of like some really nice, and as I often say with Hokuzono, not so subtle symbolism in terms of air and the fire within Kunishige, and again, just the tension and what's at stake. And yeah,
You just blew my mind, because think about the colorway or for Akamura that was just released on the Volume 12
Yes.
cover, which was gassed. Purple aesthetic, right? Purple eyes. There's a purple flame at the center of the fire.
Interesting.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Like when you were talking about
Yeah.
that, and I was thinking about how he talks about like that purple flame and like Chiaki's at the center of it all.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yeah. No.
Crazy.
Good shout. Yeah.
And yeah, you know, it's funny, like I mean, I still like, I just can't get over Joji. Like the highlight of this chapter might be top one is just Joji's facial reactions, like on literally like page 2 and 3. Bro is like going through it. Bro has so many different like facial expressions, and like he's over here, it's hard to breathe. Like these motherfuckers, he ain't doing nothing. Oh, it's just so funny to me, man. But nah, yeah, Shiba's a go, dude. It's a good time for the people who signed the Shiba apology form. I just want to say that.
100%, man. 100%.
Like, I don't know who those individuals are, but shout out to them.
Well, those that did are definitely wise, I will say. But yeah, I think the whole Joji stuff is really funny, because the juxtaposition, I guess I'll say, really, with the Subaru and Shiba kind of really being about it. You know, they're really willing to put their life on the line here, and you know, demonstrably so. And Joji's just like, no, you know, like I'm not doing all that. They stayed up for like more than 2, or I think they said more than 2 days. Yeah.
Joji's probably rocking in here with 8 hours sleep, a full belly. He came in 15 minutes. He came to them. Well, no, he came before 15 minutes, but there's been 15 minutes since like the chapter where we cut back to the smelting in 127, I think it was, to now. 15 minutes have passed. He's done literally nothing for 15 minutes. I don't think he's really moved much since he actually walked into the forge when he first got there back in 125. Like, brother's just yapping his way to being exhausted.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Shout out to Joji. You Joji truthers. Hey.
I mean, I guess on a non, like, we're not memeing, I think it is kind of like a good representation of how can I say this? I don't want to say like the average man, but just highlighting really the dangers of what these guys,
fucking sorcerers in these days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
they're not cut from the same cloth. They're not getting it out the mud.
Well, I think it's, you know, again, yeah.
Well, they have nothing to fight for. That's the thing. I think that's like the big thing is they're not fighting for anything. They don't have the resolve.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Subaru, like Shiba is like dead set on setting the stage for his homeboy.
For Kunishiga, yeah.
And like, by the way, we need to see Shiba's like childhood upbringing, because like everything now is like made me really interested in what kind of upbringing it would take, and what atmosphere would create this like all-star point guard Shiba.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I need to see that. But you know, so, and then like Subaru, you know, this is just a headcanon at this point, but he really gives off the feeling that he's like kind of lost his the spark in his life. He's you know, going through the motions essentially, and you know, seeing like Kunishige's resolve kind of like got him interested, like sparked his interest in life. So he's willing to, like, you know, he's not, you know, trying to unalive himself or anything like that, but he is willing to risk his life for something to like reignite, you know, that spark in his life. And that's what he's doing here. In fact, to even go further on that, he's so down for that he will even trade in his sorcery for the eternal contracts to be a sword bearer, which, by the way, he uses to help him in his restaurant. So that plays in part with his like love for sushi, that he would like sacrifice that for like Kunishige's creation. Obviously, it's for the greater good of the war and the safety of Japan as well. But I think that's kind of how the story is like framing it, or at least how I perceive it.
Well, I mean, his Subaru really strikes me as a guy, from what we've seen, is that he'll show you what he's capable of if his heart is into it. And I think here he wholeheartedly believes that he's doing the right thing in supporting Kunishige. You know, he obviously, as a treasure of Japan, has already stated his opinions on the Sorcery Bureau's plans, right? So he's been pretty vocal about that, and we've seen how he feels about like supporting Kunishige, especially in this quest basically about love is what I'm trying to say. Like he knows Kunishige's fighting for love. He supports that fight, and he thinks it aligns perfectly with what should be done in terms of his nation, again, as a treasure of Japan. So I think Subaru has very clear what he's fighting for, and he's playing his part. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to say about like Joji. I think that highlights Joji. He comes in and he's swayed a bit with, by what Kunishige is doing, and he's kind of like, again, like I think he's trying to, like, he's starting to see the other side of it, but his heart really isn't in it, like Shiba, like Subaru, definitely not like Kunishige, so he's, it makes sense, really.
He has no dog in the fight.
Well, I mean, the dog is definitely not him. We know that for sure.
No dog is found within him. Or the guinea pig at this point.
So I think like him just kind of like running away just really highlights that, when your heart isn't really in it because you don't have a reason to fight for, like Subaru, like Shiba and Kunishige, then that's what you see, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it too. Like the everyman, as you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly, kind of. Yeah.
Someone coming in, they have nothing to gain from this, or at least that's their perception of this. They're not fighting to save anyone that's close to them. Like if this was Joji's sisters, which that would just like taint the DNA line, boy. But if that was his sister, then you can argue like, oh well, like he's gonna fight for his sister. That's why he's there. He's fighting for her back. But I mean, I guess that's a bad example, but it's like a good example.
No,
I mean, we
see
know
the
her
logic
brother
for sure.
is Akamura.
Just
saying a regular situation. That,
the
like,
logic is there. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so like to him, it's just where this thing is about to explode. These guys are crazy. It almost kind of harkens back to that point back in the Rakuzaichi when I think it was Shiba who says like these people are insane, and it's like just people like giving in their all, like, and I mean this doesn't really like isn't a good parallel because we see Shiba doing that currently, but no,
but
like
I think
the
it is
sentiment behind it, like seeing these people like they're insane what they're doing, and like this also goes back to the Bob Masumi. You're willing to risk your life for this?
Bingo. No, yeah, I think what you're saying very much relates. Like there is definitely a connection, but I think it's something that we see just a lot of in Kagurabachi in general. I think I've brought up before on stream probably, if not just to you, conversations that you and me have had about how what?
Our conversations we have every night before bed.
Yes, exactly those.
Yeah.
No, but Kagurabachi often rewards the guy that makes the sacrifice play, the guy that's willing to put it all on the line. And again, it makes sense because this is a shonen, and you have to have these sort of moments for there to be thrill, right, and hype and all the good stuff and payoff, but also the one that has genuine conviction in what they're doing. And often those two go really hand in hand. You see that with a character like Yura, for example, right? So I think when we see these characters like Kunishige, that they have everything to lose, and therefore they're willing to just bet it all. And guys like Shiba, I mean, in the case like Kunishige, he has, I think there is this feeling of him having nothing to lose just because of the situation he's in. But look again, guys like Subaru, guys like Shiba. So yeah, I think there's definitely something there. Those guys, like you bring up, when there is conviction in what they're doing, they are able to go to extreme lengths, to just see that through. And you see that everywhere.
I want to double down on that because this literally Sojo versus Chihiro, the 12-second fight.
Yeah.
Sojo doubled the amount of spirit energy. Chihiro tripled the amount of his spirit energy like his body could withstand. And he was able to outspeed him and then cut it off at the last second. So it's him like putting, making that, what it meant to him. They had that talk. They were conversing through the blades, and we find out that just Chihiro wanted it more. It meant more to him.
Yes. He's literally doubling down, right?
Yeah, and it's like, so it's definitely a themes and such of the story.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, and like before we kind of get past the beginning, also, I'm sure like a lot of people have talked about it on Twitter already, but the whole lightning, vibe in this story makes you think about Cloud Gouger being the first sword. And I still think it's the Magatsumi, but like just to lend myself to that headcanon real quick, that Kunishige, if he did start his journey with the EBs off with the Cloud Gouger, then it'd be a beautiful parallel, because that's the same EB that Chihiro started his journey with. That's the first blade that he set on the right path. He corrected its course. So like I think that could be thematically nice.
100% agree. 100% agree. I think the way it's presented, this chapter, I do wonder if Hokuzono is kind of setting up the expectation to kind of deliberately, to kind of take a different direction. But I do like a lot the fact that, you get the Magatsumi theory, and I, even if not necessarily like a believer of that theory, I think there are a lot of very good points that work in favor of why I wouldn't be like that surprised if it is the Magatsumi. We talked about Subaru's blade being the first one, and there are a lot of reasons of why you could also see that being the case. And now Cloud Gouger, adding that to the list, I do like that Hokuzono has been able, whether this has been deliberate or not, the fact that he's kind of been able to give us enough reasons to see more than two blades be the first one. I think it's very good, just to keep us on our toes and keep us guessing and sparking conversation. I really enjoy that, actually.
Yeah, I do like that, when there's a long-running discussion to be had about certain things and stories. We talk about Hishaku, which EB came first, the whole Soga and Mikaboshi ordeal. There's a lot of, Yura, what's going on with Yura. There's always like these long-going theories, and it's that discussion that basically enriches the experience. The weekly experience can be a very shitty thing at times. We've all felt it. We all seen it. We get worn down by it. But the truth is, like, there is no feeling like reading a manga weekly, because even through its pitfalls, there's like spots of greatness or like fun, to be like remembered. So it's like one thing that which EB came first. It's like the chicken or the egg thing, but a conversation. I'm glad that's that it's continuing, and it's ever changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And specifically the fact that he gives all these like bits that kind of just make you think. Yeah, it's not just pure speculation and just theory crafting of which one came first. You have these little things that you can take as pointers to kind of lean like one way or the other. Yeah, exactly.
So so this makes me think, like, do I still believe the Magatsumi is the first sword? And I'm gonna reassess everything and validate my theory based off new information. Though it's this new information that is either gonna make me have to like overcome an obstacle to make this headcanon like still feasible and logical for the story, or does it shoot a hole straight through my theory and I'm done?
Yeah, and kind of staying on this conversation, obviously there's still things we want to get to in this chapter, the Chiaki and Kunishige stuff, Kunishige and Shiba. I think there's still a lot more to talk about, but now that we're on this topic, I do want to take the opportunity, because you did bring this up to me, weekly experience, and you've been, again, to me, you've been verbal about how this is starting to drag out just a bit. I'll let you obviously, speak your own mind. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on that. Also, the fact that this was a 14-page chapter, I believe so. Another one of these. So where are you standing as it relates to current events or the current state of the weekly experience, like you say?
Man, cancel Kagurabachi. I'm just playing. I don't. It's more like I can see the thought or the feeling of it starting to kind of like be kind of slow and not going anywhere. If we're not done by next chapter, I will probably start feeling that way. I can just kind of, it's starting to be evident to me the possibility that we've kind of slowed the pace down too much. I don't have an issue. I love this chapter, and I like all the contents in it. But a lot of the things that happen in this chapter are things that we are well aware of. It's just kind of reaffirming them, but it's reaffirming them really well. You know what I mean? Like the execution of the chapter is beautiful. It's like literally this chapter like made me feel something, and it's rare. I got a black heart, but
that's rare.
No,
you're
but
a sweetheart,
it made me
Tiberius.
feel something. Yeah, I try to be, and I'm a LARPing asshole. Or I'm LARPing a asshole.
I like that.
Yeah. But I can just kind of see I can see why people would feel that way. I'll put it like that. I don't agree with it yet, but if it seems like this is going to go for like 2-3 more chapters, then it's a conversation I think that is okay to be had. I guess I'll look at it like that for now. But I love this chapter.
Yeah, you get me thinking because you talk a lot about the weekly experience, and I completely agree with you when you say that. That's literally one of there's so many things that Kagurabachi does well, but a lot of it really plays into and makes up the weekly experience. And the pacing is, well, yeah, it's one of those things, right? Because of the fast pacing, it never feels like Kagurabachi ever gets slow or boring. And this recent stretch of chapters, for me, kind of like right now, right? Maybe there's a stretch of chapters back in part 1 I'm not remembering, right? Maybe way back early before I started reading Kagurabachi early, but this is the first time it just feels to me that we're in a just a specific point in time where the current events don't lend themselves as much or as well to the weekly experience that we so often talk about, compared to previous Kagurabachi. I think so far, really, I'll even go as far as to say like the Seitei War arc, what we've had so far of it, that it's much more enjoyable as a binge read. Obviously, I haven't binge read these whatever amount of chapters it is that we're in to this arc, but it just feels like it. It just feels like that. I get that feeling for some reason. And so and obviously
I can see that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I have an answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because we don't know the whole story, but man, we sure do know like the current the current status of like the important characters. We like in terms
what's
of
gonna
like,
play out here.
Yeah, so we know Shiba's gonna live.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that they're getting off Hiroshima in that fight. We know Kunishige is going to forge the blades. So when you spend like 4 chapters smelting or whatever, like we don't know how it's going to happen, but we know that the outcome is going to be the enchanted blades. But like,
valid,
so I think
very
that's
valid.
why that it feels like better at a binge in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
because you're kind of like already, pacing through like that kind of layer of thinking. You're not really paying much attention. But on the weekly experience, there's discussion that slows, just those conversations linger, and you're like, well, I mean, we know we're just smelting right now, and so it's like, I get that.
1,000%. It really
But
is.
now, if the story started here and we didn't know the outcome of these characters, it would hit different.
Yeah, for sure. No, 1,000%. Really, that's why I said really is the macro. Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying, because when you know the big kind of, like you said, just like the big events, or like how the big things are resolved in terms of like, well, they win the war, all sword bearers are alive, Shiba's alive, Azami's alive, Kunishige's dead. The really big question mark is Chiaki, the Soga clan, with the Mikaboshi. Though we have again a general idea whether you lean one way or another, we know that they're just not around. Whichever way you feel about Chiaki, even if you do think she's alive, we know that something happens for her not to be around. So yeah, when you know kind of like how the big things play out really, and how, or where all those pieces will be by present day, it becomes more of a slog to just kind of, like you said, sit through 3-4 hours, or not hours, I'm sorry, chapters of smelting. I do think that the pacing, and I've said this kind of I've said this differently before, of how Hokusono, I think he's been tricky with the pacing, because it feels like he slowed down the pacing, but really when you take a moment to just look at how much he's giving us, and you know, like the different kind of notes that he's hitting on to deliver these, despite being shorter chapters, they carry a lot of, you look at the last 3 chapters, they carry a lot more substance than a lot of other chapters in Kagurabachi that take advantage of the full chapter count, or the full page count, I'm sorry. So I think Hokusono has been sneaky with the pacing because of how much he's doing, but because we're sitting, again, to your credit, Tiberius, like you're saying, because we're sitting in kind of like the same point in time for so long and fleshing out these minor details, it just kind of feels like, you know, get it. What was it that you said last episode? Chop chop, forge boy. You know.
Yeah, chop chop.
Because we know what's gonna happen. You know, we know he's gonna finish this melting process. We know the blade is gonna come out of this. But God, I just continue to do what you're doing, Hokusono, because I'm not gonna say I can sit through like 3 more or 5 more chapters of this, because it's not what I would prefer. But yeah, I continue to trust that he knows what he's doing, and that he's not getting too lost in the sauce with what he's getting cooking up here. So I do believe we'll continue to chug along real soon, and it'll all be worth it. You know, why we spent so much time fleshing out Kunishige and Chiaki in this way, which we can segue to that if you have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I'll just say he's doing a lot with a little. And
yes, as he often does.
Execution is always one of the most important things, you know, when you're trying to tell a story, because you can have nice art, but if you're not conveying the story or the themes properly, people just aren't going to connect emotionally. If you have that, but like, you know, I say you can get by with like shabby art and things like that, but like you have to execute the themes and like what the emotional connection to the story, your tether to the engagement, is how much you care about the events and the characters. And he does a good job with like you know, locking us in every chapter no matter what it is. So you know, that's definitely something to note. And you know, back to the chapter, I want to just say, you know, we do see Shiba pop back in. You know, we see a conversation about you know, basically throughout the time when Kunishige, you know, when after basically Chiaki became the Soga princess, and you know, when she got caught, and you know, everything just like reminds Kunishige, you know, about his you know, he's not worthy, or that's what he says. But I think that one of the highlights is Chiaki just saying, "You're you, Kunishige." Like just those conversations they have, and like she's like letting him know like lineage don't mean nothing. You know, it's like who you are. It's like the person to person relationship is beautiful. You know, I just, you know, because we get to see that they get to do fireworks the year after that bad experience. You know? And it's you know, like it's definitely a tragically beautiful relationship.
Yeah, man. I think you said this a couple of chapters back, Chiaki saved Kunishige. He's just trying to repay the favor. And I think the way Hokuzono continues to paint that picture just makes me feel for Kunishige more and more, and feel for them both, because you can tell that Chiaki just has a good heart. Obviously, this is the boy that she clearly likes, but the way she's really presented, she's really a sweetheart, man. And you know, obviously you see it in her actions and the way she goes about being there for Kunishige. We see that bad experience from the year earlier has clearly scarred him. What is it that he tells her? Because she says, you know, doing the fireworks every year, and he's like, every year, kind of alluding, you know, to like, you know,
sure you want that with my bum ass?
Yeah, you really want to be with me? And that's, you know, when she says like what you just brought up about like, it's not about your last name, it's not about lineage, really. You're you, Kunishige. You're him, bro.
He calls himself trash. You know, he calls himself trash.
Yes.
That's how he sees himself, because
yes,
you know, we kind of see like the you know, through the eyes of Kunishige, Hokuzono gave us that you know, basically what he saw from his parents and his upbringing. He just lost the light. There's nothing to live for. You know, his mom, you know, what she did and what that's you know, just seeing that and that realization, his life went dark. But Chiaki, just caring about the person who Kunishige was, just caring enough to go check on him, cook for him, and that's you know, it's symbolized through like a frying pan, you know, on a burner, like that spark of fire, which is kind of like the worst kind of like symbolism, you know, given the takes of like how he handles, you know, women. But like, it's just that fire, it's like you know, that spark. And then when you when you turn the page, and it's like hope, like what brought hope back into his life was just her, you know, with a firework that night. You know, his life, he was willing to, close to like unaliving himself, like literally, like moments away. But it's, you know, Chiaki being there, his last lifeline came through, and she's been I guess indoctrinated by her family to assume that her station is larger than herself, which it is a huge, you know, a huge thing to really like have to be in charge of, or like hold, you know, on your shoulders. And you know, we saw the previous princess, but she's basically been beaten down by moral obligation from the clan, or what the clan's telling her moral obligation is, to the point where she just doesn't care about her own life, and she's allowing other people to basically tell her what she wants. And so she thinks she, you know, giving herself up and doing it for all these people or whatever. But Kunishige, she doesn't want that. And Kunishige is going to be the one to make sure it doesn't happen. You know, like just their story, and like considering what we know of Kunishige as a man in chapter 1, like 120 some chapters later, to see it like kind of like the origins of what created the sun, RMC, it's just so beautifully done. Like, it's like really a beautiful chapter. Like, man, it's moved me twice. Like, literally, I cried that one chapter, and like this one was moving me. I'm like, I can't, I'm not gonna be like Joji getting, you know, hit up twice. Sorry, I was yapping there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you hit it on the nail, really. And Chiaki tried to convince Kunishige that, and for a time you would imagine she did convince him, that he wasn't trash, you know, that he was, you know, worth of living a good life, being happy. He was worth being happy. You know, he deserved that much, right? When Chiaki becomes Princess Soga, and this is what like ties into the Shiba conversation, he returned, like he embraces the idea that he is not worthy of her. He goes back, which we really don't know if he ever really truly escaped from that mentality of not deserving her, not being worthy of her, being trash. You know, he takes that head on. But when she sees, like you said, that her responsibilities now put her at risk, now it's his turn, like we said, to not just save her, but he has to show her that she is worth more as a person than as this Princess Soga. Just like he had to be shown that he isn't trash. And so I think that, again, it's not so subtle, but it works. It works. And when you think about it, it just like it says to you, like you said it did to you, it moves you, you know?
From the princess to the peon, a life is a life. Everyone deserves to feel worthy of, you know, their existence, and that they do matter, because it's the truth. Every life, you know, is no one life is worth more than another. You know, yeah, and like she said, it's just, you know, it's like a lot. It's touching. It's very touching stuff.
For sure, and I truly think that Kunishige is what he's doing. I genuinely believe it's no different than what she did those years ago. And yes, of course, there are a lot of like other factors involved. I'm very well aware in terms of like the minor, or not the minor, right, but the intricacies of everything that's going on, because she's princess and we're talking about the fate of a whole nation and a wider war. And so to compare that and say that's the same thing to when they were kids, I understand what's at stake here. But in a vacuum, right, and at its very core, like I said, these are two people that ultimately just wanted to save each other, and they're just doing that in the only way that they thought they could at the time. The Chiaki that is telling Kunishige that he's not trash, that he's him, is a Chiaki that, from what we understand, she hasn't really been kind of, you would think she's had a decent or good life up to that point. We do know that all four of them, including Shiba and Azami, have backstories of their own, but I believe that it's kind of framed in a way where, like, she, even if she was of a minor branch, I don't think she had that much of a rough life. I mean, yeah, maybe we don't know, right? But I feel like the fact that now is when she's kind of having all this kind of thrown on her, now is really when she's kind of, yeah, it's,
if she didn't have a rough life growing up, it's coming back in, it's coming back in twofold.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? Like, yeah, tenfold. Things have never been as hard for her as they are now. And so now Kunishige just feels like it's his time to step up. And I do like, by the way, that kind of when we go from one panel to the other, of it's him young and then him like all sweaty, not worthy. Like when he's talking to Shiba and he's just like, I'll just get her into more, like, into trouble again. I'm just not worthy of her. And we transition to him, you know, and what's going on with the smelting. Oh man, that's so powerful because he's so locked in.
Fighting for it. Yeah, he's like fighting for it. He's
gonna make sure
that he is worthy.
Yeah, like I am now, you know, like I will be. Yeah, man, Kunishige continues to move me, man.
Goes hand in hand with like this is how much you mean to me. If we're seeing his resolve play out dead set in front of us of what she means to him.
Yeah, man.
And people are gonna construe that for like him wanting to do it for himself. Like,
nah, man, nah, stop it. I said what I think about that. No, we're not doing that. I'm not even gonna entertain that. Obviously, there are very like, I don't want to get all philosophical, right? But I feel like there's a lot of selfishness in a lot of what we as people do.
For sure.
And even when we're trying to be selfless, I think there is a lot of selfishness in that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay, right? In this case, he's not fighting for himself. He's literally just trying to repay, just kind of give the same energy, right? Like she did that for him once. He only feels it's right that he does it, right? Well, so I think that's that.
My thing with it is, like to agree with you, like they're, I think inherently we are selfish creatures, and that there's selfish undertones and a lot of like major
Yes.
selflessness.
Yes.
And what we're seeing here is like, sure, Kunishige can't imagine his life without Chiaki,
Being
being
alive, it's
in
not
it,
even
or
with
just
him.
even existing. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
he just doesn't
her
want her to
having
give
a
up her
life.
life. Yeah, it's not.
And
He's not fighting to keep her. Like let's not get it
it's not
twisted.
like, yeah,
He's just
this
trying to
ain't
show
like
her like, yo, you don't.
life
I'm
isn't
not
life
letting you
without
give up
Chiaki on this planet.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
and I think more again. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good way to frame it. Yeah, for sure, 1,000%. Yeah, that's the selfishness in the selfless
And
act that you're talking about.
Isn't there beauty
For
in
sure.
that kind of selfishness? Like, we're gonna act like selfish. Like, yeah, sure, selfish has a negative connotation, obviously, but this is the rare moment of beauty selfishness.
I think it's the humanity, right? I think this is like the human aspect. I think what
It's
makes
nuanced.
it.
It's
Yeah.
a discussion. It's not simple. It's
I think
the
that's what
human
it's
condition is an enigma.
for sure. I think that's what makes it compelling.
Shout out to Black Enigma.
Shout out Black Enigma for sure. Yeah.
I just
A real one. Yeah, man. No, for sure. And that's why I can never shit on Kunishige's character, man. It's definitely very complex, and if you want to slander, there's definitely low-hanging fruit, as there is with so many characters in Kagurabachi and in
what's
shonen
crazy?
in general. Yeah.
They used to call me the White Enigma in high school, and also Low Hanging Fruit. They used
Oh,
to
yeah?
be my nickname in high school.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Low Hanging Fruit, and White Enigma. No, I'm just my bad.
I don't know if those two go. Never mind. Yeah. Look, I think. Let me see. What else can we? One thing I do want to say, obviously, you brought up is the spreads we got towards the end. The eyes. Yeah, man, they never lie, right? The fact, like the imagery that we get of kind of Kunishige's trauma, and then just the, like you talked about, the stove on, and the hope literally in his eyes. Yeah, I just think I think Hokuzono does a good job of showing us how the eyes play into everything, right? We've talked a bit about before of, how Kunishige feels about like the one thing that he got from his dad are these red eyes that allow him
His fuck ass dad.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I love the complexity, right? Because it's the one thing that allows him to do the only thing he knows how to do, but there's also so much baggage that comes with those eyes and what's been burned into those eyes, and the fact that now he wants to use those eyes to make a difference, which is something he was never able to do before. I think the way Hokuzono uses his art to convey that, again, third time I've said it this episode, not so subtle, but just very, very, very well done, and I really, really enjoy it.
Yo,
So yeah,
I gotta say real quick,
Mm-hmm.
like the whole eye thing with it's beautiful because Kunishige managed to break this like cycle of generational trauma that these red eyes like have, like most likely Kunishige's father picked up that kind of those kind of mannerisms from his father, and he most likely got the red eyes from his dad. And you know what I mean? So it's like what these red eyes kind of like symbolize to like the Rokuhira family up until this point has been nothing but pain and afflicting pain on others. But he managed to break that cycle. He managed to impart those red eyes to his son, free and clean, a new birth. He rebirthed the red eyes into something that can be used to save people. And that could only be done by Kunishige breaking through with sheer honestly willpower
Mhm.
to like go through everything and come out on the other end. Yo, I'm about to have to wrap this up.
Yeah, no, man. 100%.
Yeah, my bad, I'm yapping. But like, I do want to say Sheba. Shout out to Sheba, generational. Ride or die, homie, supporting. He was gonna pull him back, but then he sees what this moment means to Kunishige. The unwavering resolve that he showed to never like stay clear. He was ready to have a plan. He was ready, and instead of pulling him back, Sheba stays with him to support him, and again risking his life to set the stage, help in any way possible. Boy, woo!
Yeah,
That apology for him hitting like crack.
I see. I think that's as much as I've seen you glaze Sheba. Love to see it. Love to hear it. Yeah, man. I mean, he literally has Kunishige's back. Whether there's something more going on there, I brought up. As I read the chapter,
Itazura.
I thought about. Yeah, if he's using Itazura to whether it's literally give Kunishige like support just so he can kind of keep doing what he's doing, strength to keep his posture, whatever it is.
Temperature,
maybe
like help regulate his temperature, like
with this vague ass, cracked ass sorcery that is Itazura. Who knows what it could be, or it literally just is the literal symbolism.
He's just lending a hand, have support him.
Has his back.
Yep.
Yeah. So pretty straightforward there, regardless. I do want to shout out two things. There's the letter, which I'm excited to see. Hogazono's showing us that for a reason, hoping to see. I think I've been saying before that I think they've already had the conversation. If it is that they meet, I thought that they already met, and this is taking place afterwards, and perhaps that conversation could play into the resolve of Kunishige. We haven't seen that yet. We're seeing the letter acknowledged for the first time in I don't know how many chapters. So I'm hoping that goes somewhere, and I'm starting to think they haven't met. But I do like that we see Chiaki outside. That's the second thing I wanted to bring up before we get out of here. I do like that we get that shot of Chiaki. It's raining. She's looking out in the distance, clearly thinking about Kunishige. I like how that cuts to Kunishige's kind of look as he's staring into the fire and clearly struggling or giving it his all, at least. So yeah, glad to see Chiaki, even if it's the way it is. Obviously, she's not looking too happy. But yeah, man, love the chapter. Great chapter.
Yeah, man. Everything about this chapter. Excuse me, my bad. Everything of. Okay, I'm muting my mic. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have it. All right, I'm about to. Yeah, man. Everything about this chapter, it's one of the ones that I've seen a lot of people not like or have issues with. I mean, I guess, but for me personally, it was beautiful. Like I said, moved me, and I think that this conversation, this discussion that we had, was one of our better ones, honestly. Like, I think it's just. This chapter was able to bring us that opportunity to have this discussion, because a lot of times there's time almost where I feel like our discussion about not every chapter but certain chapters, we're just kind of more tapped in a sense, no matter what's going on around us at the current time, because things are crazy for you in New York, at Anime NYC, you're a big famous guy over there.
Sure.
I mean, I'm there too.
Yeah, you're right here.
In the other room. Yeah. But no, it's just being able to have discussions like this is why we started this podcast, and this is one of those chapters that made me, kind of reminded me of that, of why it's so special.
Yeah, man. This is, I think that this chapter gives us so much to talk about. It's been a great discussion. And yeah, again, Hogazono does such a good job at introducing all these things worth talking about and bringing up, and he can do that with a panel or a text box or an image, and there's just so much there to just pick at and go deep on. And
or it could just be extra art of the fucking Hiroshima 4 dipshitting around.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, no, so I agree, man. I feel the same way. This is a great conversation, great talk, great chapter, even with a lot going on. Only Kagurabachi could get me to lock in, and make sure we have a good time here. So, yeah, this has been fun, as it always is.
Yes, sir. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. Make sure like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out our personal channels, excuse me, and stay tuned for the interview interview video. Now I'm stumbling over my words, choking the ending. But be on the lookout for the interview episode that will be out hopefully tomorrow night if we get everything situated and I lock in.
Yeah, we're aiming for that. We'll both be locked in.
Yeah, but we do have our stream on Tuesday. So, join us for that. Join the Discord description below and see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.